Yo, yo, yo. Um. I am toast. All right.
Opening up the game real quick to see if it's just live or if it's a troll, so we can say if it's live or not.
Right. Go for it.
Let's see.
Well, what's this tweet from CSGO? CSGO tweeted out 11 minutes ago.
What did they say?
The teaser for it, it's saying Riptide, so I mean, it's at least officially announced by CSGO.
Oh shit. I was playing a video now. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna watch it. It is live.
It's probably the same video that I saw then.
Is it something of a chicken standing on a branch?
Yep. Some music in the background. While you watch that, I'm going to go get my hoodie on.
Don't show again. Dang, they're charging $15 for the pass.
All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to episode 357 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Philly Esports. And this is going to be the best episode ever because we have a big yikes of the week. Stupid Twitter is a big player in today's episode. We will talk a lot of dumb tweets will be discussed. Also, VCT Berlin recap. We have the winners, we have the losers, thoughts, everything you need to know. Of course, a packed e-news as well. But before we get to that, let me tell you about Philly Esports, and you know them well by now if you listen to the show, but it doesn't change the fact you need to go to phillyesports.net right now because they constantly are having new events posted right after they have one. They just hosted their big Rocket League 3v3 event this past weekend. Congratulations to the winners there. Well, coming up here, they've already announced it September 25th, so that's this weekend. Just like that, a quick turnaround time, a 2v2 double elimination $1,000 Rocket League tournament. Sign-ups are always free, of course. So go to phillyesports.net. You sign up for that and win a cool, what's $1,000? 1,000 divided by 2. Do the math. That's $500 per person for a free sign-up. Not bad. Not bad at all. They also have coming up in October 16th the another 3v3 Rocket League. It's the fourth cup of their leg of there. And then, of course, October 9th and the 10th will be their 5v5 Valorant tournament as well. So all that completely free sign up. You don't want to miss it. phillyesports.net. Start your pro career with Philly Esports.
My name is Justin. I got your Pistola D's, and you are listening to the Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, September 21st, 2021. The time, 9:14 p.m. Central. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Join our Discord. The link is in the description. And be a part of the conversation. Always good conversations going on about the world of esports and just life in general. Whatever you want to discuss. It's a pretty chill Discord. I won't lie to you. So if you're looking for a chill spot, looking for good dudes to play with, some gaming with, we're back on that Valorant grind for like at least another week until New World comes out.
Switching to CS this week, Tim. I didn't mention that to you, but
Oh, that's right. Switching to CS for now, but one of us also just bought like a $20 Zed pistol on Valorant, so we are not giving up on that game just yet. Need to get my return on investment there. But there's that for you. All that can be done in our Discord. Join our Discord. Be a part of the conversation. Play with us. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
couple quick things to note right off the start, Tim. A, love the Pistola intro. Glad you used that today. That was a good little touch.
Very topical.
There. B, we do have some show breaking news, Tim.
Whoa.
Our host, Timothy, has joined TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you
This is
recall,
true.
over the last, 6 months to a year, roughly, I've kind of heard you bashing it for the most part.
I mean,
and
that's
almost
not going to
feeling
change.
like you were mocking me a little bit for even being on it as a 36-year-old father. I am happy to announce that Tim is officially on TikTok. You can get him at pshrew. Already active. I've noticed, 3 or 4 posts at this point.
4 videos.
All revolving around his love for the Lions. Sorry about last night, by the way. That was a little rough.
It's
Not as rough as the guy that bet $25 to win 470,000 and lost.
And
with
lost.
the last bet being for the Lions.
You know what, though?
But
For one night of his sadness, I've lived a lifetime of it, rooting for the Lions. So
he had a payout offer from the casino or from the betting agency. They were offering him like almost $300K
I
as
would
a
have.
buyout.
The fact that, I lose all sympathy for him. If you have a chance after betting $25 to get like $300,000 as a buyout, you take it. Like
In a heartbeat.
you take it.
Or you hedge your bet and bet a shit ton on Green Bay to win. That way, if you lose that $25 bet, you can still make $100,000 or whatever on
Yeah.
the side if he played it smart. Unfortunately, he did not. But the smart play here was Tim joining TikTok. He's live. It's beautiful. They're emotional. Like they
Yep.
really touch me. So
If you like,
Um,
right now, the only content I can think of revolves around the Lions, but who knows? Maybe something else.
we have very different content. Like I have these emotional, sappy videos trying to go viral of me and my family that do absolutely nothing. Tim's got these lovey, sappy videos, but all around Detroit Lions football. So
Yeah.
a little different take. You can catch either one of us on there. Don't really post esports content on there, but just life content. So
Just
if you want to get to
whatever.
know us a little bit more, feel free to follow on there.
Yeah, I'm at pshroom on TikTok. And again, I still make fun of TikTok. I don't, and you can ask my wife. I sit there on the couch with her, like, I don't get it still. I don't understand how if we play 5 seconds of a song on Twitch, I will have the FBI down my throat in a matter of seconds. Like they would be at my front door if I played 5 seconds of a song on Twitch. But TikTok, you have kids becoming millionaires, like billionaires over lip syncing a song. And I don't understand how one is like, so yeah, okay, of course, they're super popular and all they do is lip sync a song while wearing like a skimpy shirt, compared to Twitch where it's like you have a song on like you can barely hear it in the background and they're like, whoa, buddy, we can't be having music on this site.
You're banned from the platform.
Right. Were you making money off of this song? Like, no, not really. I mean, it was just kind of on in the background. And Twitch is like, yeah, you can't pull one over on us. The music industry is like, absolutely not. But yet, some dude with a million followers is lip singing to Ariana Grande, and all of a sudden it's like completely fine. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I feel like this again is like something for young people, where it's just a bunny. I told my wife.
Oh, it is. It is for young people.
But like as far as like you and I are old enough when we were young, social media was not a thing, and when it was a thing, it was not what it is now. Like we had MySpace, and it wasn't like necessary. Yeah, like it wasn't the same the way you do it now.
The first thing to social media we had was like AOL.
Yeah, and even that wasn't really like what was that like the blog site?
Like MySpace, right?
Yeah, but there was another one where I know like GeoCities, where it was like very easy to like make your own little personal page. Anyways, that's like a boomer thing. I don't think kids know about it nowadays. But I think it's just a bunch of horny 8-year-olds who follow these people.
I'm sure most of the videos that I see on there, like I would probably get arrested or put on some sort of registry if they knew I was looking at it, you know? Can't tell who's 15 and who's 25 anymore. So
right, there's one chick, and my wife was like, "How old do you think she is?" And I'm like, "She's either about to hit puberty or graduate college. One of the two. I can't figure it out because it's like these. It's just look.
I'm gonna watch it again to check.
I stick with my. I follow like sports stuff and then my football stuff, and then a couple esports trickled in here and there. But overall, the content on TikTok is still trash. I mean,
entertaining. It's a time sink.
Sure.
You got to get your algorithm right. You just got crap coming up on your
maybe
page.
That's it. I don't know. I don't have the energy to fix it. Either way. But no, yeah. So that's a long saying. I am on TikTok. So I don't know what that does for anyone in life, but there it is. Another little show update, and I think we mentioned this in a previous episode sometime in life, so I will just update people, so next month in October, we were supposed to go to Philadelphia for an event, and we were sponsored by Philly Esports, of course. They were going to fly us up there, and we were going to do a big show, all-day show for this Valorant event going on up there, and, it was going to be a lot of fun, and I think some listeners mentioned that, hey, I live in Philly. Not going to happen. Event has been canceled. It's still going to be online, but because of COVID and the new variants and everything going on,
the venue shut it down,
yes, the venue is being strict about what they do now, and it's just not going to happen. So we're not flying up to Philly.
We kind of saw this coming over the past few weeks, right? Like
it was already delayed once, and I will say this though, and I'm a mask wearer. 100% vaccinated now, by the way. I got vaccinated specifically for this trip, and now that was all for none.
Trust me, it's for something.
I got a haircut for this trip, all for none. So I feel like a damn fool. But living in Texas, it has warped my brain. This might be the Texan in me talking at this point. Are we really still canceling events, though? Like, is other parts of the world canceling events?
The US is fucking stupid. Okay, like that's what it's come down to. We can't get our shit straight, and we have still 1,000 people dying a day in the country. Like, yeah, there's not going to be events. I don't even know. Like, somehow football is vaccinated. Like, I don't understand this. Seeing a football game and seeing a packed house of 100,000 people in Jerry's World, and
or even like college.
I know like some of the stadiums, like Vegas and all that, are requiring 100% vaccination to be able to attend the games. I think that's what we're going to start seeing. But look, we're not doing things right compared to the rest of the world. Say what you will. You can have your own opinion, right? I don't care what your opinion is, but you're entitled to it. So I understand that. We're obviously doing something wrong. I mean, we're going to continue to see events canceled. If you think DreamHack is coming anytime soon, if you think we're getting that in 2022, probably wrong there. I mean, we're not going to see every state be lenient. There will be some states that will allow events and you're not going to run into issues. But if you've booked anything in the next 6 month span, I would make sure you're getting it with traveler insurance, because there is a likelihood that it's canceled if it's in the US.
Or just book everything for Texas or Florida. And then then you're in the clear because we don't have to worry about anything here. It doesn't. COVID is like, oh, Texas, no. That's the logic, anyways.
It doesn't cross the border.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Only illegals do,
I
but
was about to
COVID
say.
does not.
Yeah. No, we draw the line.
It's terrible because I just hate it because we're missing out on all these fun and exciting experiences because we really can't get our shit together, and that sucks. Like, we've had a year and a half or more now at this point, and we haven't been able to do the stuff that we'd love to do, and it's for a very simple reason at this point. Like, early on, we didn't have anything in place to prevent it. Now there are measures we can take, and we're still lacking, and until it gets better, I don't blame them. Like, I really don't want to be at an event with 10,000 people right now. I mean, it doesn't feel safe. Does it feel like comfortable to like go necessarily do that? Yeah, we're vaccinated.
I was gonna say, now that I'm
vaccinated,
vaccinated,
I don't want to get sick still. Vaccination doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. It prevents the symptoms from being deadly of COVID. So it's like, I still don't want to come home and get COVID with the 1.5-year-old sitting
Right.
in the other room,
all
It's
I'm
not about
saying
me,
is,
it's about like him at this point, right?
I'm ready to rock. I'm ready
Yeah.
to rock. Like, I think it would have been fine. I feel like we live in a world, again, if people were taking the proper measurements. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, given that this type of venue or event, it's like, just require masks, require proof of vaccination or a negative test, and let's rock. Let's rock and roll. Let's go. But alas, that's just my opinion. That's just one man's opinion. It got canceled, so we're still doing something, but TBD at this point. I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll still figure out a way to contribute with them. So we'll still be involved, still probably be live that weekend in some form or fashion, or at least have some good content for them that they can use of ours. But sad, that we don't get to go and enjoy that. Hopefully, hopefully we'll get out to Philly sometime soon. I feel like that'll be in our future at some point.
I was just looking forward to getting out at this point.
Yeah.
Getting some work done, getting a little guys trip going, but we'll see. We'll see what's going on in the future. That being said, we have some airline money stowed away. So if an event does come up and it's worth going to, you hit us up, the listener, talking to you. Hit Anuj and I up with some ideas on events coming up that we might be able to get out after. I know Worlds are, well, that's in Houston. The LCS finals will be in Houston. We could always drive down there if we wanted to.
I wouldn't waste travel miles
No,
flying to Houston.
not to Houston. I don't even want to waste
I don't even want to go
gas.
to Houston.
I don't even.
In
I was
general,
about to say I don't
honestly,
even want to waste gas going to Houston. Oh, Houston.
I'm hoping for a good event, like like somewhere where I can enjoy some nice warm weather, but not too hot.
Right.
Like good vibes. Legalization of weed would be a benefit in the state we're going to. Like, be nice to experience some fun stuff while we're out and about.
Yeah, anything at this point. I'm willing to go anywhere. But yeah, so hit us up if events are coming up that we might not know about or anything like that, and maybe we'll make a trip. Who knows? We'll see. We will see. Anuj, let's get on to some content for the show because of course we had a busy week of esports, busy yikes of the week, yikes everywhere. Blizzard has been off our radar, what I feel like for a couple weeks now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Blizzard has been safe from yikes of the week, but today it has been announced that Claire Hart, the entertainment chief legal officer, resigns amid the gender discrimination lawsuits and all the Me Too stuff going on. Not a good look when you are in the middle of countless of lawsuits that your chief legal officer decides to be like, you know what, guys, I think this is the best time for me to move on and look forward to my future of my career.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna look for my next role at this point because this one will not be here much longer. Is what it tells you, right?
Right. Like she's looked at the paperwork, she's seen the shredded documents, and says, you know what, this is a sinking ship, and we are not getting out of it. Like, I'm out.
I mean, it's like kind of one big joke after another with this. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the road here. That's kind of what I'm curious about now. Like, what is this just going to blow over at some point? Like, we're going to wait for the lawsuits to end, I guess, and maybe they'll lose some money out of it, right? So that'll hurt their pockets a bit. But hopefully the culture changes. I mean, I'm sure it has to because everybody's gone, right? Like, who's still there to push that negative crap culture that they had? So I don't know. I want to see where this goes. Beyond the discrimination side, like as a company, can they find some moral standing? I really don't know. I don't know if this does any
I
of that.
think. Let me look at their stock.
Our
Right now.
boy Bobby was like, I think, summoned to come in, like, talk. I don't know if it's to a grand jury or who, but he's kind of being brought in and questioned, and
I mean, since all
they all
this,
feel the heat right now.
oh, of course, yeah. I mean, since all this, their stock has pretty much plummeted from 94 to 72, so like $20, which is big, right? That's a big dip, and I think almost 21% from where it started this year. So a 21% dip. I honestly think though, gaming is so like cyclical in the sense of like they'll probably pay out some settlements. Some people, as we've already seen, are getting fired or let go or leaving. And then Diablo 2 remasters coming out in a couple days. Diablo 4 is coming out in next year.
That's not announced. Let's not tell lies. Okay, we don't know when Diablo 2 is coming out.
My point is people will forget with games coming out. Like, just
if they're good, maybe, right? Maybe if they're good. But Diablo 2, who's going to be like, oh, that sexual assault stuff? It's Diablo 2. I played this 20 years ago. Like,
wait.
Let me dive in and re-experience this and forget about everything that's happening. Like, Call of Duty, all of this stuff is everybody's kind of under fire, I think, with them. Like, Overwatch is not helping their case, right? That franchise is dying, and now we're all waiting for the resurrection with Overwatch 2. Call of Duty, we'll talk about in E!
With
News.
all
Like,
the
I just don't see a lot of positives.
With all the new games coming out, though, time heals all sexual assault wounds, as we've seen in life. So
unless cheaters are still in Warzone, guarantee you they won't forget them.
So you'd want to say like, oh yeah, they're really gonna feel it and feel the justice brought to them, but in reality, it's like they're just one badass WoW expansion away from being forgiven.
That's the one that could change everything. One really badass WoW expansion could fix a lot for them.
They're just one.
Again, the way that this correlates, because Tim and I are not making a joke of the sexual harassment and stuff that's going on there. It's just with all the people that are leaving, that brings in new minds behind these games, and maybe the focus shifts from 100% making money to maybe like 75% making money and 25% to customer satisfaction. Like,
because
maybe we see them kind of bridge that gap a little bit. I don't know, but that's what the hope is.
Because the people are shit, right? As Slipknot told us many years ago, people equal shit. But the brand is still there. The brand still has all the IPs that you love and all the licensing and characters and all that you love. So unless you hold a grudge on all of that and you just can't get past that, which, I mean, you have all the right in the world to not be able to get past it. I'm not saying you should get past it, but it's still there. Like, for people, that's what's going to get people to kind of forget about it as time goes on, is when you see like that new WoW expansion or that Overwatch 2 update, and you're like,
Diablo 4 all of a sudden gets a release date of Christmas. Like, okay,
right?
Maybe they shift gears a little bit.
I'll give it a shot. Maybe things have changed, so who knows? But either way,
I'll resub. Now.
I'll resub now. As your chief legal officer leaving though in the midst of
not a good look.
Not a good look. Not looking good for Blizz. As standard yikes of the week goes, I have one here for you. This comes from the land of Rocket League, as we don't talk about a whole lot on the show, but when we do, it's normally in good terms, because normally like nothing bad comes from the Rocket League world. Like, it's such a
they just kind of do themselves.
Yeah, they just do it in themselves, and you move on with it, right?
Take some balls into some goals, and you're good to go.
Well, this comes from, I guess, some member of the community, Miss Dirty Bird on Twitch, and she was part of some smaller org and all that. Well, Nooch, and this has happened before, but she was busted lying about having cancer.
Piece of shit. That's what you are. You're a piece of shit. I mean, that's not even a yikes. That to me is so deplorable. I feel like you should be tried in criminal court for doing that,
I
honestly.
mean, because in like the realm of Twitch, she's obviously doing it. Now, this is a quote from her. Okay. I don't want to be the type of content creator that is known for lying. I did not do this for attention. What, like, did you just lie about having cancer then for the lulz? Like, I don't understand. You lied about having cancer, so you're going to be known for lying, and you didn't do it for attention, which is all you're getting right now. So I don't know what other I've never lied about having cancer.
And then her next stream, she comes out with her tits showing, basically.
Right, like an open button up shirt and like either a tube top or I don't even know. It could have been like a fancy looking bra. I have no idea. I don't wear them, but no, you're absolutely. This is a piece of shit of the week instead of a yikes of the week. You should absolutely, because you know she got throughout this donations because people thought she was dying of
Even
cancer.
if she wasn't running a charity stream to generate money that way, people were probably, as Tim mentioned, giving her money in hopes that this money is going towards a cause that will help her for medication, treatment. Like this, if people were willing to do that, they would have given it to somebody that actually needed it. And that's why this is just so disgusting to like. I don't even know how you get to that point in your life where you're like, I'm gonna lie about this. You know, like I'm gonna go get that sympathy vote, and this is what's going to make me big. And now, look, there is that chance because, as we know, the gaming community, there is a big portion of it that is also total crap. And now she'll go live, she'll show her tits, she'll apologize, and that will almost maybe make her more famous, right? Like now she'll be
But this is
well
something
known.
that shouldn't
This
even.
is what Twitch needs to step into.
Right, I was gonna say this shouldn't even be an issue. Like Twitch should be like, no, dude, you lied
You
about
are
having
100%
cancer.
banned off our platform. That's what Twitch should come in and say. It is a lifetime ban. You cannot come back on this platform. That's what I almost started dropping F-bombs there because I'm getting a little heated. But that's what a good company would do, right? Like we talk about equality, equality, equality. I don't care if she's male, female, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. Like this is such a deplorable offense that I just feel like you should have no leeway in these types of situations. I mean, it's just disgusting. Like we call it a yikes. It's beyond that. This would not get nominated for a yikes of the year because I wouldn't even want to bring it back up and give this person recognition.
No, absolutely not. But you're right, though. I looked, her Twitch page is still up there. She streamed as of 2 days ago. And it almost makes it worse either that like she's not like ultra popular either. Like she's gotten more attention from this story, which is funny that she's saying she didn't do it for attention. But it's like, you're lying about having cancer. And like I said, we've seen it on Twitch before where like that one dude was in a wheelchair and then all of a sudden you saw, have you seen this one? Like in the reflection of his fish tank, he stood up off stream and people were like, what the hell just happened here?
Like Jesus just came into my house.
Right.
That would be my next line at
like,
that point.
yeah,
like Jesus just touched me.
You know, people run scams all the time, but this is just, I think, on another level of, if you're lying about having cancer or some disability for attention, which is 100% what this is, and for money, you should be tried for stealing money. That's
worse than hacking in video games, worse than any other crap. You know,
I would rather play on a team with no mics in competitive Valorant than play with someone lying about cancer.
100%.
I don't care 100%. What kind of communication you have. All right, that's my yikes.
Tim, the yikes that I got here, true definition of a yikes in my opinion. So today, the long, everlasting conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it, of controller versus mouse and keyboard came up again, Tim. You had Dr. Disrespect about 12 hours ago tweet out, without aim assist, you ain't nothing. Now, I think that's true to a certain extent because if you turned aim assist off on controllers, that would make it very, very difficult.
It would get ugly.
Obviously, like it would get real ugly. There's a reason it's there because it needs to be there. So off of this tweet, TSM Myth, famous for Fortnite and content creation for TSM, he wrote, I will never put a controller player in my top 10 for greatest FPS players of all time. Now, there could be two ways of looking at this yikes, right? This statement itself could be the yikes itself. right? Like this could be the yikes, him saying that he would never put an FPS player in their top 10. And I'm going to want your opinion on that. So think about that for a brief moment.
Oh, I've thought about it.
Now, he got a ton of backlash as well as positive reactions, right? Depending on which side of the aisle you're on here on that tweet, including some very large personalities that chimed in, including Nadeshot. I'm not going to read Nadeshot's whole tweet, but Nadeshot, to summarize, said, if you did not play a competitive FPS at a very high level, you have no room to make a tier list, top 5, top 25 list at all, period, end of story. That was basically the tweet. So right after that, Myth came back out, and this to me is more the yikes, Tim. Came back out and tweeted, and I quote, "I'm gonna keep it real. I was talking out of my ass as someone that's nowhere near qualified enough to be spreading that type of slander. Sorry, y'all. Nadeshot made a perfect point, and I can't disagree with it, as I believe in that shit myself. Can't talk about shit I don't know." Okay, so that was his follow-up tweet. And
So we learned that Myth is a beta.
100%.
That's what I took away from that tweet. Is he saying I'm a beta bitch, and I'm gonna back away from what I said because Nadeshot said I was wrong.
Do you think, like, I mean, there's no other, like, large, I'm thinking of competitive mindset players, not just FPS, like Doc, for example. Dr. Disrespect, I consider a competitive FPS player, not a
Right.
pro player, but a competitive FPS player. Would never tweet an apology out, partially because of his personality, but the other half is that's just like the alpha side of most of these people
Right.
in this space, right? I am pretty disappointed that he backed off that take. Do I agree with the initial take? I actually don't agree with it. Like, I probably would have a controller player or two in my top 10 based on accomplishments within their esport. And, you know, controller's been around forever. It's not like it's some new gimmicky thing.
Right.
I'm not putting a mobile player in my top 10 greatest FPS players from COD Mobile, right? That would be different in my opinion. But
maybe if you were the Halo Championship Series doing your top 10 of all time, you'd put a mobile player in with the way they rank players.
Well, yeah,
which we'll get to.
Can't wait to do that segment, by the way. We've been talking about this for, it feels like, about 2 weeks now. Really, really can't wait to jump into that segment. But as far as this one goes, though, yeah, I think it's just really weak on his part to come out and apologize for it. Because, first of all, it was a joking thing, and he's kind of got that joking personality anyway. So, like, why go back and kind of tweak the apology? Again, I thought the initial take could be argued for his point in saying that, controller, I wouldn't compare them to mouse and keyboard. It's like, it's different, as we know it is. So I want to see, Tim, what do you think about the take? What do you think about the apology?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the apology, you know me. It would be a cold day in hell before I apologized for a tweet like that. I would take it to my grave. I don't care if you told me first off, Mr. Nadeshot, if I can call you that. I was don't know if you know this, Nadeshot, but I was a professional gamer. I was a semi-pro in both Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. So maybe that's enough for him to warrant to where I can speak up on this. So that's Nadeshot's tweet. As far as, like, I love when the mouse and keyboard versus controller conversations come up, because first off, there is no group of people on this world more self-conscious about using a controller than controller players. Like, can we all, regardless of what you think, we can all admit that controller players are very sensitive for when people call out the fact that they play on a controller.
But it does go both ways, because mouse and keyboard players are also very opinionated in saying that controller.
But I feel
sucks,
like they're
right?
but that's what they're bitching about. They bitch about the aim assist saying controllers suck. The controller players are like, no, we're just as good as you, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just a different type of whining about it. Both sides whine and complain. But the controllers, I feel like they're always defending themselves over the mouse and keyboard rather than just showing up. Now, I truly believe it all depends on what type of angle you have the conversation to make the argument on. Like how you were saying, you could rank the players not compared to each other, but comparatively speaking in their own game.
I mean, that's how you would have to do it because no
Right.
two games are the same, right?
Yeah.
Even like Valorant, Counter-Strike, as much as we compare them, I'm not making a top 10 list of those two games. Like you would do it individually. So if I did them as a group, it would be based on their accomplishments within their respective sports, right? Like that's the only way you would do that.
Now, I think you could also make the comparison though to say, okay, you're not comparing apples and oranges, but it is all esports. It's all competitive gaming. So if we're looking at it from that umbrella, like I almost think of it like auto racing, right? Like I'm a big NASCAR guy. And it would almost be the equivalent of like, say, if I was a race car driver and I was really good at racing, like I could weave in and out and catch the proper drag and get through all of it and, all of that, right? If I could get through it and I was an excellent racer, but I didn't know how to do stick shift and I used an automatic engine instead of manual. Still an awesome race car driver, but I had the assistance of an automatic engine. I think that's about, and I've racked my brain over trying to come up with a good comparison to like, aim assist in a controller versus mouse and keyboard. That's about as close as I can get. And I don't know if it's a good example. In my head it is. It makes sense because it's still all racing and you're an excellent race car driver, but we also can't look over the fact that you're using an automatic engine. I don't know. I like NASCAR. I don't know cars. So I could see where someone could, if you're looking at it from that angle, but it's an argument that will go on till the end of time.
Like if we were to put the best of the best in a match and found some, kind of had them go through a variety of games, like I do think mouse and keyboard would prevail. But I also know that there are several controller players out there that also slay on mouse and keyboard, right? Like it's not like they're one or the other. I am a one-dimensional gamer, right? I do not play on controller ever. And if you were to tell me, hey, Anuj, pick up the sticks right now and back up your shit talking, well, I would be at a very high disadvantage, even with or without aim assist on the controller, right? But I will always believe that mouse and keyboard.
Right. And I think that's the argument, right? It's like some people hear when you're like, oh, mouse and keyboard is better, people hear the argument of like, well, that means if you use a controller, you suck. I don't think at least when I say this, that's not the argument I'm trying to make. The argument is if you took away the aim assist on a controller, what difference would there be? And it would be a huge difference. So, and I'm not saying it's 1,000% aim assist because like we said, there's mental skill going on, there's game knowledge, competitive knowledge, things like that. I think at the end of the day, the better player is going to be the better player, right? There's plenty of times where I'm playing in a mixed lobby and a guy with a controller kills me and I kill him 1,000 times. And, I don't think it's the issue is because you can't do a controller without aim assist. It's just, you're not going to make it happen. So you need that to possibly, but then some games like we saw in Halo Master Chief Collection was way off. I feel like even in Call of Duty mixed lobbies, the aim assist is way off and controllers have such an advantage with it. So I think that's just what it is like, yeah, a controller player
too is what's caused this to all kind of come up again recently, right? Because most of the games that we're playing are now cross-play games. And so these two worlds are now colliding. And as a mouse and keyboard player, and I know you feel the same way, we hate the fact that we're playing with people that have some sort of aim assist, regardless if I think I have an advantage because I'm using my whole arm, but I'm having to use two hands. I mean, I don't know. There's like differences obviously between the two, but this is why this conversation keeps.
And you're never going to convince the other side. That's the thing. I, as a mouse and keyboard user, and I used to use controller. Like when I played competitively in Rainbow Six, I was all controller. That was on Xbox, right? When I played competitively in Halo, that was all on controller. Like I was never a competitive PC player up until my college days, like when when all my group of friends from high school kind of went separate ways, and I gravitated more towards the PC as far as competitive shooter goes. You're never going to convince the other side, though. Like, I'm never going to convince a controller. Although I say that, we have had Tavik, listener of the show, was a hardcore controller player for Call of Duty for the longest time. And he was a denier that the aim assist was that bad until he started playing on PC and used a mouse and keyboard and went back and forth a little bit. And even Tavik, credit to him, came up to me one time and was like, yo, you were right. This shit is whack. Like, the aim assist on COD with the controller it's evident. Like, you can feel it.
He never played COD again.
No, it kind of did kill it.
Like, he did left COD after that, and now has gone on to, like, play a bunch of other FPS titles and be a monster
but with
on
mouse and keyboard. So,
yeah.
Look, I do somewhat side with Myth in the sense of, yeah, I guess the top 10, I would always, if there was a scale of like skill, if you're judging skill, I guess it would go to a mouse and keyboard, but accomplishment and all that comes into play. And, like you said,
I just know on my top 10 list, I would 100% have.
I think you would have to
controller players on there.
Right.
I think there's too many legendary titles on console, and too many like legends have been born from those scenes that,
again, it's like raw talent, raw skill. I don't even know how you would judge it, because, and I know like you'll get controller people saying like, if you picked up a controller, you would suck. Well, yeah, no shit, because I don't use it. That doesn't make any sense. It's same thing to where it's like I have friends who get on a mouse and keyboard, and it's like, how do you move with this? How do you do this right now? It's like, yeah, it's because if you don't play it, you're gonna be bad. Like, that's such a stupid argument.
And there's so much bias because of that,
Yes,
right? Because most people are playing one or the other, and there's always going to be more console players because not everybody can afford $1,500 PC.
The argument is stupid. Like, like everyone has an opinion one way or the other, but at the end of the day, we can also admit like it's just a dumb argument.
It is. It's going to keep coming up because of the crossplay.
Oh my god!
Stuff.
Yeah, when Halo Infinite comes out, that's going to get brought up again.
We'll probably have a segment on this topic when Halo comes out again if it becomes an issue. So
yeah, so it's going to come back up. So there you have it. There are some yikes of the week. Now, Anuj, let's get into the talking point of today. The VCT Berlin Masters 3 for Stage 3 ended up happening over the weekend. Exactly pretty much how we drew up, if I must say so myself. No. It's actually not far off, though. So, of course, we had going into the finals, the NA versus EU in the playoff brackets, because I don't think we haven't discussed since the playoffs, right?
We have not talked about Valorant, since the playoffs started.
Okay, so let me pull up here. So in the finals, we'll just bring it up. Gambit ended up defeating Envy 3-0, so EU ended up taking the crown on this one, sweeping Envy into the finals. But how do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about finals first? Do you want to talk about how we got there?
I think let's talk about how we got there, and then we'll jump into the finals.
All right. I guess let's just kind of bust down these teams here. I want to talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I want to talk about the first one here real quick, and it's G2. Because G2, we're in the lower part of the playoff bracket. When I say that, I don't mean lower bracket, but just on the bottom half of the one I'm looking at. And they had the easier start, the easier run, if you wanted to look at it this way, because they were playing against Crew Esports, which, credit to them, the returning team made it to the playoffs. Like you and I both discussed, like that would be one team that we would look at with the experience coming back. And G2 ended up going 2-0 against them. 13-9, 13-7, no real scare at any point. And then they get...
Yeah, I mean, Crew started off good on Haven, and then G2 won like 10 rounds in a row, so that kind of put an end to that run for them too.
And then they get up against Gambit, going 2-0, 13-10 on Breeze, 13-0 on Icebox.
First 13-0 of the tournament.
I think in all of competitive Valorant I saw. Like in any official Valorant setting, the first 13-0. Don't quote me on that, but I swear to God I saw that.
I feel like I've seen 13-0s several times, and I'm trying to think, was it like First Strike? Who knows, with all the events that we saw, like there's so
maybe
many
it was
of
the
those.
first international, but that, I mean, there's only been 2 international events. Either way,
Yeah.
there hasn't been a lot of them though.
Terrible timing for G2, right? Like, I mean, that is, if you're gonna have the first 13-0, you definitely did not want it to be at this event. That's a devastating.
And I hate the fact that I enjoyed watching it though, because I love Mixwell plays for G2. I love Mixwell like a son. I root for Mixwell. The guy has had quite possibly the worst luck in all of esports in his career. Like, it just seems like anytime he gets a break, it ends up backfiring on him in some way. So I love to see Mixwell succeed. That being said, the hype that was built around G2 heading into this, and I said this last week, I didn't get it. I don't think it was warranted. I think a lot of it was social media built rather than results built. And I think we saw that finally come into fruition. Now, one could say, well, they still made the semifinals, Tim. Like, they still did pretty good.
They still beat Sentinels.
They still took Sentinels, even though Sentinels, depending on who you want to believe there, almost sounded like Sentinels gave it to them for the sake of getting into some type of spot for the drawings, but that's neither here nor there. But getting 13-0'd, I think, speaks volumes to the sense of, like, Gambit, I don't think massively. I know we talked about Gambit on this show, but I don't think across the esports universe, Gambit was getting the respect that they were supposed to be getting. And 13-0ing Icebox, or G2 on Icebox, which I felt like G2 has been performing relatively well on Icebox. I don't know, it just made me feel a little good inside.
Yeah, I mean, so Gambit wasn't getting the respect that they now deserve because they hadn't earned it yet. Like, we had to see it. We've heard, like, hey, they're really badass in scrims.
But have you
They're the
seen it
best
for
team.
G2? Apart from wipe out the memory of early Valorant.
I'm not discrediting what you said about G2. I'm just talking about Gambit in general. There is, like, they needed to earn it, and they have now. They'll get that respect. G2 is in that boat where they still need to earn it, but the name comes with respect, right? We've also seen a different iteration of G2 be very successful, which gave them the respect at that time that they deserve. Now, that's obviously carried over with that fan base, and they're still very much hyped. But I honestly still think they're a really good team. I think Gambit was kind of on a streak. I mean, sometimes in these games, when they start snowballing, and we've been there, even if it's a pug match and it just starts going wrong, it just goes.
It does make me feel good because, I shit you not, ladies and gentlemen, not within 24 hours of G2 losing 13-0, your boys lost 13-0 in a competitive match as well. So G2, I know how it feels. I know what it feels like to go 13-0. It sucks. But seeing them go, I was like, oh, it happens to them too. Okay.
And it wasn't like one player just played poorly in that match, right? Like, G2 had multiple players, I think, at 2 frags for that game, and it's not it just wasn't their night. So I think for G2, they played pretty good. I think they are quite happy with the amount of points they're coming out of this event with to try and move to champions. They'll be playing in that last chance. Well, no, they already did they qualify already?
Let me pull it up here. How would I find this here? Continue talking. I will let you know here in a second.
They have not. So they have not. They're going to be playing in the last chance qualifier to qualify. And so, for them, the points are nice. They still are going to have to prove it. But they made the semifinals of Berlin. Like, that's not terrible. And everybody internally knew how good Gambit was, so that wasn't looked at like a major upset to the pundits of the game, right? Like, they didn't look at that and were like, wow, G2 just blew such a huge opportunity by losing to Gambit. It was like, man, we knew Gambit was really good. They were favored in this match to win, So if you're G2, are you disappointed? Yes, but you lost to the best team at the event.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to hang your hat on is Gambit went on to win it. So at least no one else can say they beat them, right? It's you can at least hang your head on that one. Going here then, or did you want anything else? Did you want to go to specific?
I have a new one I want to talk
Okay.
about. I just want to jump to it because I'm excited about this one. I want to talk about two teams that played in this game, obviously, but 100 Thieves kind of focusing on them a little bit more here. This was the match of the event by far. The 100 Thieves Ascend matchup was such a highly anticipated matchup. And, I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but we obviously had all of NA on one side of the bracket, right? But this was the one non-NA matchup on that side of the bracket where we were jumping straight into a team that was considered one of the best in 100 Thieves from the NA side, and Ascend, who is looked at, at the time as the number one EU team, right? Like that was the team that everybody has been talking about with CNED and everything else that they've done since they picked up Zeke and all these guys. So this matchup lived up to the hype. BO3, obviously, in this format. You had a crazy start to the finish to the game in Ascent. First match there, Ascend took it. They think it took 7 or 8 rounds at the end in a row to kind of clutch it, but it was such a close game up to that point, and Ascend made the comeback there. Then you go to Haven, 100 Thieves, looked great, took it. The matchup that was the most exciting, Tim, and this is why I'm talking fast, because this is the one I wanted to get to, was that third map on Breeze. This looked like it was over at halftime. I mean, although it was an 8-4 scoreline, you didn't feel like there was any momentum at that point on 100 Thieves' side. They had lost 7 out of the 8 rounds going into the half, and you knew they were going to have to really do something special if they wanted to advance. This got all the way to a 12-7 scoreline at one point, putting Ascend on match point.
And I don't know if it's like this for anyone else, but Breeze is like a mental defeating map for me. Like if we're losing, that's the map that we went 13-0 on, by the way. It's like, it's just tough to mentally get around. I think it's because it's the newest map or a newer map. I don't know it's the newest map, right? As far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
So it's like already, I think people might not love it because it is newer, but continue.
I think the most impressive, you're right. First of all, about Breeze, it's tough, but I thought their comps were really, like they were really well prepared for this map. The Viper pick seems to be just a no-brainer, crucial pick on this map. Obviously, Jet on every map, like is the way Jet is played is a necessity. But these guys seem to have this map down pretty well. We saw similar strats kind of from both sides. I thought this was done when it hit the 12-7 line. I really did not have a ton of hope at that point for 100 Thieves to pull it back. But man, Nitro looked like Nitro of Liquid when they were on their IEM championship run there. These guys stepped up, brought it all the way back, and took it in the first OT to win it, 14-12, knocking out Ascend and advancing to the semis.
I thought the big thing for 100 Thieves in that one, particular, obviously the comeback map on Breeze, is like it felt like everyone on the team had their moment, right? It was like everyone had their clutch moment that they were able just to kind of look back and being like, that was huge. And I felt like that's what carried 100 Thieves in, and that was exactly what they were missing in their Envy match, is they didn't have like one person that you were afraid of or one person that you felt were making. It was like such a different vibe from the quarterfinals to semis with 100 Thieves. It was almost just like they were still on that high from Ascend, and it just the hangover left over when they were playing Envy, because they did not look like the same 100 Thieves. They kind of looked like the 100 Thieves that I was worried about. Like on the NA side, they were the one team that I had a doubt going into this entire event, let alone the playoffs. That being said, the confidence has shifted. Like I looking at the which we don't have to talk about it, but the champion play-in for NA, like I think they're clearly the favorites going into the last chance qualifiers for NA. Looking at the teams there, it's like you look at the teams and 100 Thieves just sticks out like a sore thumb in the sense of like, oh, okay, no, you guys definitely deserve to be at champs. Like out of all the teams there, they have at least shown the most consistency going forward. And again,
and got screwed pretty hard with Envy losing because now they have to fight their way in. So.
Right, and I guess that's true, right? Like had it gone one map different or one match different, they would be in, and you wouldn't have to be worrying about it. So that's probably why they stand out like that. But I'm not too concerned about 100 Thieves going in. I think just generally speaking, even without NA winning this event, NA really showed up strong. Being on the same side of the playoffs sucks. Like, talk about a buzzkill.
I think everybody realizes that, right? Like, I think had you split these brackets up evenly, there's a chance they have to like get through 2 NA teams versus just doing the one, which they did really well. But they still would have had to have done that again and against equally as good competition. So you never know how that would have turned out. They got a little bit of a cakewalk, getting in there.
So there's that.
I do want to say CNED, as advertised, dude's ridiculous. He's just so damn good, and I'm so glad I got to watch him on a big stage because it's hard for us to watch these EU matches. Like the timings are just sometimes can be awful for us to really catch these games consistently, and so to get to watch him as much as we did, I mean, he's as advertised, dude. He reminds me if I'm thinking Counter-Strike, he reminds me of like Zyru a little bit. Like he can do a little bit of everything really well. Like he just does it at a high level and is, playing Jet makes it even that much more exciting. And they lean on him so heavy. And he showed up big. So I think he can walk out of here, although I know they're disappointed for losing it, especially the way they did. The dude was a monster. He was so good. Like, to me, he's right up there with talks of best player in the world.
Speaking of best players in the world, let's go over to the team, even though they didn't look like it in the playoffs, with Envy and Sentinels. Envy defeating Sentinels 2-0, which we didn't have a show prior to the playoffs, so we didn't really get to give our playoff prediction. But credit to Anuj, because you mentioned to me off show while we were watching them or playing or whatever. You mentioned before this match started that you thought Envy was going to win. Like you said, you would not be surprised to see Envy beat Sentinels. So credit to you.
And the funny thing is, there wasn't like
you were never a pro gamer before. So
I wasn't. I say I can't make those types of predictions.
Can't make those ever again. This might be our last show. I don't know.
I didn't think the Sentinels losing to G2 was the joke that everyone's making it out to be. I thought they genuinely lost that match. Like I thought they played to win. They didn't play as good as they needed to.
So what did you think of Sentinels kind of making light of it afterwards? Do you think that was tongue in cheek? Like, do you think that was them jokingly saying, "Oh yeah, we didn't really want to win anyways"?
I do think it was somewhat tongue in cheek. I think Zoms might have believed it a little bit that, hey, this is like what we wanted to do. But like, I've heard Dapper on stream and some of these guys talk about it. Like I really think they just lost that matchup straight up. Like I don't think there was any seeding was random. Like why would you want this draw? Envy is the second best NA team. They've beaten you before. And oh, by the way, they just added Ye, who God only knows how this happened so quickly, but Ye has turned into possibly the best NA player just watching him from this event. Like, why would you put yourself in that position? And look, Envy came out, they had a plan, they executed. The first map goes into overtime, the second map split, they take fairly comfortably. And Ye was the best player on, I wouldn't say both the maps because Tens really went off on Haven, but Ye was the consistent best player on Envy's team, throughout this event. And when they needed him to step up big, he was able to do so. And look, it wasn't that much of a surprise that would happen because these teams are playing each other so much leading up to this. And now you're doing it on the biggest stage. And I don't think Envy came in with any fear. Fast forward to the semis, and I felt the same way. Like I really had the only thing that was sitting in the back of my mind is, wow, Envy just came off of this like amazing comeback win high. Like, will that carry over? And it was almost the opposite effect. Like, it looks like all of their energy just got spent.
I think that you could say, like how I said with 100 Thieves. where it was just kind of like it's difficult to make like that type of a comeback and exert that much energy into a match, right? Like if you're Envy qualifying at like 100 Thieves, how they did Ascend, and then go into the finals. Like to me, it's just difficult. No excuses as far as NA losing. Like Gambit showed up. Gambit was, I thought they were one of the favorites going into the event, into the playoffs, and it proved to be the case. I think with Envy, when it comes to the finals, which you kind of have to talk about them like two completely different teams, because the Envy we saw in quarters and semis, like you said, dominant. Like they looked like the clear number one in the tournament. I think with how they play call, and I would love to have FNS on the show, and maybe we can make this happen, because I want to know from him, because I've said it before, I think FNS is a in-game leading genius. He's a savant when it comes to just the way he looks at games. When we've had a pleasure of talking to him at events in the past, like the dude just thinks of games on another level, right? Like everything seems so calculated. And then on the flip side, you have Ye that looks like a bat out of hell, and nothing is planned and everything is just felt in that moment. So I would love to talk to one of them and being like, how much of this is planned and how much of it is just like, we're going to let Ye or Marv do their thing and then we're going to play off of it.
If I had to guess, I would say they love Ye's play style on that team, because the most part, the rest of that team is pretty methodical, right? And then you have, like you said, Ye, who looks like a dog fetching a bone, like just goes, and he plays. That's how he plays Jet, and it's just it's perfect for that character, right? Like that agent mixed with his play style just seems so beautifully connected. Now we'll see what happens possibly after the nerfs. I don't think much,
I don't
because
think
the
it will.
dash didn't
Well,
change, but
we could talk about the nerfs later, because
yeah,
I think people are freaking out over those nerfs. I don't think
yeah,
they're as
I do
bad.
too. But like I his play style just seems so great for Jet. You're right though. In this, I was pretty caught off guard by the finals. Like I thought, I really did think Envy would win. I thought Gambit was playing really well, but I thought the fact that Envy had run through the NA gauntlet of taking out Sentinels, then taking out 100 Thieves, and then was going to finish off, Gambit. I didn't think it would happen easily, but I thought they would do it. Buying that first map, Tim, losing that in overtime, really gave, I'm sure Gambit at that point had the confidence that right there, we can do this. And we are honestly like looking at their strats, and they played their playbook so well on Bind, and were so methodical of the way they were approaching up mid, or the way they were making their way through hookah, the way Nats played Cypher and had so much like map control on his own with that agent. Like they looked so good. And that was my first like aha moment watching them. I was like, damn, I'm kind of nervous here, like I'm starting to sweat a bit.
Yeah, it's weird too, because like looking at the final, like you said, they lost on Bind 15-13 in overtime, lost on Haven 13-11. Split
And
was
Haven was a map that Gambit never plays. Okay,
right.
that was projected to be an Envy win, as much as everybody believed Trump would win at the time of the election. Like it was a lock that Envy was going to take that map. And once they lost Haven, it was wrap at that point. You just knew Gambit was the better team that day.
Yeah, and you kind of just felt like, even as an NA fan, like the air was kind of taken out of the room. Like it really, like you get that feeling in sports. Like yesterday, Monday Night Football, I knew when it was you knew when the tides turned. Like Lions, they gave you some hope going into halftime at the lead, and then all of a sudden the Packers just come back, and you have that feeling that you knew, rip, like this, the wheels are off. I felt
Envy was up 8-4 first half going into second half on Haven, and then just let it go.
and that's how I knew it's
done.
like the wheels were off at that point. Like after the halftime in Haven, it felt like a different vibe. Like I said in the other matches, like everyone on Envy was just clicking and firing on all cylinders, and Marv was making crazy plays, and then Crashies would have this crazy clutch, and then it just in the finals and in Split, it just kind of seemed not to be the case. Now, I will say this, and I know other teams do this. I personally don't like this on on Split, but when teams run the Viper and Cypher pick, and I know Gambit ran this and won, so I understand like the
Well,
argument.
so did Envy ran that too.
Well,
though,
that's what I'm saying.
on-
That's why I said I don't like it, because I think if you're winning, sure, it works out and it's great. However, if you're starting off on offense, it's just you have two very stationary characters in the sense of like once you put Viper stuff down, that's it. Like you can go and pick up her one orb or whatever, but like her wall and things like that, it's kind of like that's what you get to work with. And then you have Cypher, who on offense is just not as effective as other agents. I don't like that double pick.
I love the Viper pick. The Viper pick to me is probably the most crucial pick on that map, because Viper to me is not like Viper is almost a mix of a Sentinel and an initiator, right? Because her wall gives you the ability to get into some of these sites if you don't have a Sage, right? Like going into where the you have like the heaven part looking down at you. If you can get a wall up to block that view and you go through, like it makes it easy to access these sites and split up sites, give yourself an advantage that way. You're right though. Cypher offensively on Split like doesn't you would not look at that as a threat. You're hoping to take enough rounds on defense, and I think that's the mindset behind Split is take as many rounds as you can on defense, and hopefully you come away with enough on offense to then win the game. But I think the focus of that map has, and the way it's set up is it has and always will be at the moment, get as many rounds as you can on defense and go from there. And so, as much as I don't like that duo pick, I think that map almost
And maybe that's
forces
why
you
it
to go
doesn't
with
work for Envy as well, because if you're playing for your defense side, well, Envy's a very aggressive team, right? You could even look like that was his worst map in the finals. He was 11-18 on Split, so maybe that has something to do with it. When you do have to play a little bit more, like, hey guys, we're on defense, let's get this going, because we know Split is a pretty one-sided map. So if you're trying to be patient and sit back,
it's almost that's the only way to play that map
like,
is to be a little bit more
Envy
patient, right? You can't be like overly aggressive
like you
on
knew
that
Envy
map.
was so aggressive going out into the tournament this whole time. It's like I would have liked to have seen a little bit more ballsy, a little bit more daring pick on their end. Now it's all in retrospect. It's all Monday morning quarterbacking, because obviously and look, I think Envy is one of the favorites moving into to champs. Like to me, I don't know if there is a clear-cut number one NA team anymore. We were thinking Sentinels was going to be this Astralis level of a team for Valorant. Well, I don't remember Astralis losing this early in their dynasty, right? Like to me, it's almost like Envy is mixing this Sentinels NA dynasty up, and now we maybe have like a race for first when it comes to the world rankings are concerned.
Yeah, I think what leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for Sentinels is the fact that they lost 2 matches at this event, right? Like had they won and kind of blown through their qualifier stage or whatever the group stage for them, and then their only loss came to Envy, I would still sit there and feel very, very confident in them. I still feel highly confident in Sentinels to say
Well,
that they
of
are
course, I mean,
the best team, right?
I'm
But
not
like at
saying
the end
they're
of the
gone.
day,
I'm just saying
you did lose back-to-back matches, in the sense of losing to
G2 and
G2
Envy.
and now Envy. And so that that leaves a little bit of it gives you hope for the other teams is more what it does, right? So I have a little bit more faith in 100 Thieves or Envy, and that's kind of it, honestly, on the NA side to fight against Sentinels at the level that you would need to win that matchup. So with EU, it's open as well now. Like we know Gambit. I feel like Gambit would be a threat to anybody at this point. G2's already beaten you, so another team to worry about.
The one thing I'm looking forward on the EU side is consistency, right? Because on NA, albeit Sentinels, you said they lost 2 in this event, they're still what I would consider a consistent team. Like not winning one event doesn't make you an inconsistent team. They're still very consistent. Envy, leading up to this, has proven very consistent. Like Ye's performance has been top performing ever since he joined the team. EU, we just haven't seen any consistency. Like even from the last Masters to this one, right? We had completely different teams on EU. So that's what I'm looking forward to. On EU, I want to see, okay, is G2 going to be consistent in the sense of like, are we still going to see this upward trends? Can Gambit hold that top spot or at least be competitive? Now, thankfully for a lot of these teams, is they've already qualified for champs. You know, like Gambit is in there, Sentinels, Envy, Crew, Ascend. Fnatic is actually qualified, even though they didn't even make it to this Masters stage on this one. They, from their previous performances, they've qualified. So,
but now you got to look at what we are going to potentially, because the last chance qualifier is just for one team
right,
out of each region. So, like in EU, for example, you're only going to have G2 or Liquid, you know, as the big teams, Guild as well,
super
possibly
massive.
making it. Supermassive Blaze, like only one of those teams is making it out. The NA side, and I just want to pull this up to
That's
make
what I'm
sure.
saying, dude. Look at this NA side and see, like, 100 Thieves
NA side
sticks
is
out like
pretty
a sore
crazy.
thumb, though, to me.
You think 100 Thieves is a guaranteed win out of this group?
I mean, if I had to put money down, I would say yes. My money would go on 100 Thieves.
Okay, so are they going to be the betting favorite? Yes. I don't think this is as much of a lock as I would, you know, most people would maybe believe. We've seen 100 Thieves several times falter in NA events, right? Like they made a great run here, but we've seen them, and this has been the knock on them, is that like they just haven't really showed up all the time. Like in some of their games, they just drop a dud, and it is what it is. They've done it to a lot of these teams that are in this event. You know, version 1, obviously not a joke. We know they're a good team. Phase, depending on what phase you get, right? You don't know. You could get this team that might not win a game in this event, or you could get a team that'll run through it. XSET also came down to the wire of making it to Berlin. You know, look at Cloud9's roster. Like the names on that roster are also like names that, you know, again, they're just not easy wins. I'm not saying that they're going to lose, but you're not walking out of here with an easy win. I mean, the only
No,
team
it's not going
that
to be easy. It's just out of those, we haven't seen them play in some of those teams. We haven't seen playing in a long time.
And that's very much true. But I would also argue that 8 out of these 10 teams are good. You know, like I think 8 out of these 10 teams could beat 100 Thieves on any given day.
So with that being said, one of the Oceania teams will probably win it.
Dude, can you imagine?
If an Oceania, because the NA side has 2 Oceania teams, Order and Peace. If one of them win, we riot. Like that's just that.
I'll tell you, I am rooting for one of them in particular.
Whoa,
and that's Order.
Did we just see the same thing?
What?
Their coach?
Yeah, Dick Stacy.
Mind blown. How is he a coach? How is he not a player?
I love that. You know what? Either way, the fact that he's like doing something, chilling in esports. This guy was one of the best characters, I would say personalities in CSGO for a long time there with Greyhound and Renegades and all that stuff. So
wow.
That's cool to see that. I didn't know that literally until I just clicked over.
Yeah, until 2 seconds ago. I had no idea.
I'm going to give them a little bit more love. But yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves is going to have to earn it. It's not going to be an easy route. And again, only one makes it through, Tim. So it's going to be a little scary. That's going to be a real event. You know, that's going to feel like a...
It will. It's like it's a qualifying event, but that is a tournament in itself. Like the previous qualifiers event, like we even said on the show, like, it's hard for me to care when you have like 1,000 matches leading up to these things, right? And 5 million different chances. But now we're finally getting down to it's like, oh, this is the last chance qualifier. Like, this is it. And for a lot of these teams who haven't even made it this far, done for 2021, like imagine that, like TSM. You know, well, we could talk about this down the road because it's not for another 2 weeks, but like TSM, maybe a little trigger happy with some of their roster moves, are not even in the last chance qualifier for NA. Like, can you believe
That's how big that it was that Envy lost, is it shifted the whole, like, I mean, not only did it get Fnatic as an automatic qualifier into it, it knocked TSM out, and it pushed 100 Thieves to have to play, you know, in that matchup. And so, like, that was such a big win for EU and how it kind of stacks the participants on their side. So
Yeah, it's just to imagine where we were at the beginning of Valorant and to think TSM is not even in champs, not even a chance to get into the last chance qualifiers. That's pretty insane. And I think when we've said it before, so I'm not like saying anything new, I think they just shot themselves in the foot by making too many roster moves. I think they panicked when they were dropping out of the top 3 and said, we got to figure something out. Something went wrong, and they shot themselves out of it.
No, I agree. I think they needed to pull the trigger in different areas early on, and I think that's where they messed up. I think they let go of the wrong people too early.
Yeah, so there you have it. Some Valorant talk. We got the VCT Berlin wrapped up. Champs is in December. Last chance qualifiers, though, at least for NA, is starting here in 2 weeks, like October 15th, I believe. October 10th is when EU is starting, and they probably have more teams, if I had to imagine. Oh, no, 6 as well. So there you have it. Are they doing... Okay, so it's EMEA, so they're doing the same thing, like EU, CIS, Turkey. They're all in the same one for last chance going forward. So we'll just keep an eye on that as that goes. Again, that's 2 weeks, so we'll have a couple shows between now and then to discuss. But either way, Masters, incredible. The stage, the production, awesome. Anyone who worked the event needs to go buy a suit for the next one, please. Also, Anuj, if you want to have any idea on how old we're getting, Mo tweeted out agreeing with us, saying that he turned it on, saw Sean Garris wearing like a jacket and a t-shirt, and turned it off. It's a dark day in esports when I agree with Mo TV, but here we are.
I can't see any of his tweets. He's blocked me.
Did he really?
Yeah, I've been blocked from Mo when that whole gambling stuff was going on. So I've been blocked from Mo for over 2 years now.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
I always know because I see subtweets and it says, this message is unavailable or something.
Right.
Tweet is available.
So there you have it. One thing I wanted to bring up, and I think this will be a bring up for discussion for next time, because this episode's already headed there, is Hastro, owner of Team Envy. Is he still labeled the owner? Maybe we should text him. He's the chief gaming officer.
We'll say founder of Envy.
Founder of Envy. There you go. I don't know how the pecking order works as far as decision making goes, but tweeted out saying that Envy is one of the top FPS esports orgs of all time. Again,
and maybe all around in esports.
And again, the beautiful of all time rears its ugly head, which, for the record, just a beatdown of a conversation when you bring up all time. And this kicked off a fire on Twitter. A lot of people gave him shit for it. The more I think about it, the more I think he might be right as far as the FPS side of things go. So I do want to discuss it, but I know it's going to be like another 20-minute conversation. So if you want, we can do it now. We can push it off to a slow day.
Let's go through it real quick, because we'll probably never come back to this, honestly, because once it's a dead news, it's gone. So we can just, I think we do a quick run through of our thoughts on the tweets.
My quick run through of it is he tweeted out after Envy, this was before the finals, so after they beat 100 Thieves, he tweeted out, let's see here. He says, people sleep on Envy, but the reality is that we are the best performing org in FPS games and maybe all around in esports. No cap, fact check me. Let's finish the job, VCT for NA. And then he kind of responded to himself. Hold up. Run it back 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, and see where we stand. Blah, blah, blah. So in my head, without getting down into the dirt or anything, Anuj, esports orgs is a completely different thing. But FPS game-wise, it's hard for me to convince what other org. He's at least in the discussion for Envy being a top FPS org. You got to think.
It's funny because he took so much shit over this tweet, when in reality, I think it was just more. Mike says obviously what he wants. Hasher says what he wants to say on Twitter, and that's fine. But he does kind of shoot himself in the mouth with the way some of these are worded. With what he's saying, the basis of the statement, I actually kind of agree with to a
Yeah.
certain extent, right? They've won championships of Call of Duty. They've won championships in Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
They
they have a
have
Counter-Strike
won
major, Call of Duty major in both Call of Duty League and prior. They have, at the moment, arguably the best Overwatch team, and they've had the best Overwatch team prior to the Overwatch League. Envy, remember, was the number 1 seed going in because they just won Apex. So they have what would be
which was the championship for
right. That would
Overwatch
be
at the time.
considered like a world
They've
champion.
won big events in Valorant already,
Right.
right? For the short life of Valorant, they've been one of the best
Successful.
teams.
Yep.
One of the few teams that's been successful from day one, right? The
Right.
Sentinels, Envy. That's it, right? Like that's really all there is from like consistent from the beginning. 100 Thieves has had like now a long run, but it's not like a terrible statement. Like, you know, I mean, again, I think he got into an argument after this that really caused the shitstorm. It wasn't so much this statement, although this was a part of it. He got into a fight with the HLTV staff writer called, you know, said, go back to your CSGO Roach Motel. And the fact that you bashed on another game that you had a pretty nasty exit with recently, that's where the firestorm started. And he had to go back and apologize and do all of this. But Mike finds a way to get a lot of hate on Twitter, right? Like it just happens often with him, unfortunately.
And the my unbiased opinion, because obviously we know Mike from just him being on the show, right? He might have said that he would name his child after me, but that's besides the point. Is I think a lot of people on Twitter are dumb, and they don't think before they tweet. And this goes from both perspectives here, in the sense of like, I saw some people tweeting at him being like, even Jake Lucky, right? The esports talk guy, he tweets out dumb shit all the time. I roll my eyes over, and I can't believe that he's as popular as he is. But like saying like, oh, what about CS? Just get back to CS. Some people are saying like, oh, well, look how you exited CS. Just spend more money, and you like if you spent the money in CS that you did in Valorant. The spend the money argument to me is so. Look, Cloud9 gets like no shit for what they did with CS, and I'm a Cloud9 fanboy, but even I can own up to the fact like Cloud9 had an uglier exit in CS than Envy did. Envy just never really worked out, right? Their experiment coming back after the French roster just never, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Like, they made a ton of moves to try to work around Nifty, and I don't give a shit what people say about Nifty at the end. When he got on Envy, he was like top NA commodity. Like, teams wanted him. It was a
we talked about it. We were like, build around this guy.
When he was on Renegades, it was like, oh, that's a dude you build a roster around. And it just didn't work out. But like, you have other teams out there. I saw OG's owner, CEO, tweet out about the CS comment. And I'm like, OG, what are you doing talking shit about Counter-Strike? And then OG pulled the biggest bitch move when he said he tagged the Astralis owner saying, hey, would you like anything to say to this? Did you just call on Big Brother to come back you up, bro? You're OG. Don't tag Astralis. Don't put yourself in the same sentence with Astralis. Like, that's ridiculous.
When it comes to like the Astralis thing, it's like you can never make the fight for Astralis being the number 1 FPS org.
They're one
FPS. Can't do it. Like, you cannot have that argument. Again, I think Mike shot himself in the foot when he started talking down to the journalist.
Yeah, he kicked the hornet's nest that is CS fans.
Yeah.
Any game fan. If you kick that hornet's nest, CS, Valorant, whatever, you lost, because you're not just. But maybe
a topic for a later date where we could focus it around this tweet is a discussion of best FPS orgs. Like, we could maybe break it down by genre a little bit, but I think FPS would just fall right into our wheelhouse.
Right.
Might be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, and I would like to have a lot of listener input on that one as well, because like you said, I think a lot of people on Twitter are knee-jerking of like, what have you done in CS lately? Have you heard of Astralis? And like, for me, it's like Astralis is instantly thrown in the trash when it comes to discussion of best FPS org. Like, if you're only rocking 1 FPS, like, you're out.
Envy's biggest downside is they are nemesis of Optic Gaming,
Right.
right? So that you
But
get
even
a lot of
Optic has
hate
had very
there.
little success outside of COD.
Yeah, no, I mean, look at Optic CS:GO team. They spent money, got all these foreign players. They sucked, like it didn't do anything
I
for
think the
them. You look
org,
at Cloud9, they spent all this
I
money,
think
went
the
EU.
org legit forgot they had like Optic. I think legit forgot they had a CS team. It was like in Office Space when they put the guy in the basement and forgot they were paying him. Like I think
Yeah.
it was legit that scenario. Like
Except
they
they were
just
paying a lot of money for that team, probably.
right. And I saw one person on Twitter bring up Envy and Fortnite. First off, Fortnite's not even FPS. Second off, Fortnite is definitely not an esport. So I don't even know why you'd bring that up in this discussion. But
No, not at all.
so either way,
We could list off plenty of championships for that organization. So
like I said,
you guys let us know what would be your number one team for all general FPS esports. Give us some orgs. I want to hear what people think. Tim and I will put a list together and maybe
yeah.
bring this back up in some sort of segment.
Yeah, because I am curious, like when you get down into the weeds of it. Like I said, Envy doesn't have the flashy history. They don't have the Optic. They don't have, the brand behind it as far as some of these bigger orgs do. But success-wise, off the top of my head, it's kind of hard to argue the FPS point. Like they have a
And when
lot
you say
of
big
success.
names, you're talking about maybe like social media popularity.
That's right.
Not in turn, yeah, like
Right,
social
right.
media popularity. That's where Envy is probably a little bit more on the back corner because the
So, I
social
mean,
media side is not
What
nearly as
other
good as like some of the other ones, obviously.
what other org has Mix Monday, Anuj? I mean, what's it, Mixy Monday? What's the?
I don't even know. Their content's a little odd for me, right? So I mean, even I can like admit
it's
to
not
that.
for
Like
us.
I'm
It's-
biased towards them. I like Envy a lot,
Their
but I can
content's
also be honest and be like, I find their content to be a little unusual compared to like I enjoy Optics content a lot. I think they do an amazing job with their content. There's a lot of CS orgs that I think are pretty clever with their content. I think
The
Envy's
Envy's
content is like a little unusual. It's not for
It's-
everybody,
it's
but it's
odd.
them, and so they win championships. That's all should matter for
Right.
fans, So.
Right. Envy's esports side, top notch. Content side, it's for someone. It's for
Yeah,
someone.
I mean, it's like
Obviously, it's
you
working
know.
out for him. I see the likes, I see the views. It's working. It's just
Those chess players have like gone
not
crazy
not
for him.
not for this boomer. Not for this boomer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a content. They're not trying to appeal to 35-year-olds.
No, they're not. They're
Like,
not
that's not
calling
what
us for a
If they
survey.
are, they're doing a terrible job of targeting that audience. I'll just throw that out there, but that's not who they're trying to appeal to.
No, definitely not. So there you have it. We'll probably bring it up at some point if it's a slow week or something like that. Top esports org for FPS. But let us know. Like I said, I'm just kind of curious. Start the conversation in Discord as far as who people might also think when you think of top FPS org. What one comes to your head? All right, so there you have it. Some Twitter talk as well. A lot of controversy on Twitter this week. A lot of arguing going on. But I guess that's also Twitter every week. So there you have it. All right, let's get into some e-news here. Real quick, we'll run through these.
Real quick.
CS, yeah. CS, it's been announced that DreamHack will no longer be part of the ESL Pro League Tour. So obviously they were part of it all and kind of intertwining, and it was very confusing. For simplicity reasons, DreamHack will pretty much be a community LAN event, kind of like how it was in the beginning, and ESL will have its own thing going on there. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I understand.
I don't love it, that's for sure, because
Yeah.
I always have enjoyed that Dallas has been generally one of the more premier, Dallas or Austin have been like a premier event site.
Yeah.
So we've gotten like good teams to come down that we've seen, and that's how we've made so many connections early on.
I just
so I'm kind of
don't
sad
abandon
about
all
losing that part of it.
esports. Like I want some esports still at my DreamHack events. I understand it's not going to be major events, but give me something, right? Like
Yeah, like losing Counter-Strike kind of altogether there, it hurts a little bit because
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
like I said, I get it. Don't love it. Exet Juliano, did I say that right? Giuliano, remember? Decided to make the move to Valorant shortly after her entire CSGO team followed. Anuj?
It's kind of sad because I think you're really going to see female CSGO kind of die off completely. Even though I know like Dignitas and some of these are like bigger names within the scene, Valorant's doing such an amazing job of taking care of the female scene and organizing it and making it more of like it's just so much more appealing right now. And so again, sad to see another team depart, whether it's men or women's, I don't care. It's just sad to see another team depart CS. But I do think you're going to see a little bit more of a max exodus on the female side because there's so much opportunity in Valorant for the female scene. It's incredible. And so props to Valorant and Riot for doing that. But this is, I think this is going to be the first of several of these types of announcements.
And a new operation dropped for CS, so all the teasing of shark emojis and wave emojis have come into fruition. Literally, like, as we hit record, the operation dropped tonight. So it's Operation Riptide on CS. Few highlights here. Private queues, I guess more to be decided. Whoever does the wording on these releases is like the laziest wording in the world.
The fact that Tim and I have such a different thought process of what that could mean
Right.
shows the lack of like information they gave in the notes. We'll learn more about this because I do think this could have a really great appeal to the community if it is what I think it is.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I don't really know.
Like, we both read it and we were like, oh, I that's not what I read. And it's like complete. So
all of the notes were
private
like
queues.
Very like simplistic.
So basically, it's like you can make a community and they can all queue together, but then they say for events. So some people are interpreting that as, oh, you can host a tournament in CS. That's awesome. I don't pick up that, but we'll see. We'll see. They've added this droppable grenades. Again, they say for certain game modes, but I assume that means competitive.
We're gonna assume competitive on this
Right.
because it wouldn't make sense to announce that otherwise. Really, I think that's huge. That's huge for the economy of CS at a pro level. Not like at our level, it's kind of nice because there are several times where it'd be nice somebody could buy me that one smoke I need to cover this site, right? Because I'm broke or whatever it is. But I think in the pro games, that's really big. Like that changes the economy quite a bit. So I'm excited to see what that does.
We're one step closer for them just adopting Valorant's request feature, which is like the
it does
best
feel like
feature
that, right?
in the world.
You can kind of do that now with anything that they offer, so that is nice. Like that, it is kind of the same thing. The only difference is you don't have that opportunity to sell back right now.
Yeah, which I don't know if that. I think a lot of CS purists will complain about it. I would love it as someone in Pugs. I would love it. Love it in Pugs. The M4A1S, the silenced M4, gets a buff. It does more damage specifically to the body. The D-Eagle is nerfed. It does less damage to the bodies. And
the D-Eagle's now a 3-shot kill instead of a 2-shot body kill. And that's huge because the D-Eagle has owned eco rounds as of late. If you've been watching any CS, the D-Eagles are dominating on eco rounds. So this requires you to get that headshot. If you want to pay that price, you got to get the headshot. The third shot is a very hard shot to obviously,
especially when you're going against, like you said, on eco, if you're going up against ARs or SMGs. And dualies are cheaper. So for the 1% that likes to troll with dualies.
Have you noticed though that dualies have been used in competitive matches as of late? Like I've seen it in a handful of matches where somebody's buying dualies and throwing me the hell off, but I have noticed it a lot more. So I wonder if there's going to be more to that.
Back in the day, I had a Logitech mouse that you could like click and the wheel would become unlocked, so you could just like let it rip. And so what we would do is bind shoot to the wheel, the mouse wheel, and buy dualies and just fucking let it rip. And I mean, they turned into a Negev. It was unreal. And Dust 2, feature that people have been asking for a long time, but Dust 2, the visibility from T-Spawn is now blocked. So I'm assuming that what they mean by that is the double doors you can no longer shoot through or see through.
And this update is live. I'm definitely going to go play a Dust 2 match to check this out here after this show, I think. That is a huge, huge change.
Yeah.
I want to see how they did it. I'm excited to see what that looks like. But that is... it makes Dust 2 so much more of an appealing map to play with that change because you don't have to waste that smoke. You're not worried about getting... I mean, you might get spammed, but it's luck then at that point. So
Right.
I'm really excited for that change. I think that's exactly what the map needed.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for it. Even a
Based
lot
on
of
how it's
pros.
implemented, but I think that's what the
Even a
map
lot of veterans and pros are saying, like, you know what? It was kind of neat at the start. Getting kind of annoying though. Like you said, like economy and everything is so heavy, especially when CT economy is so bad, and then you die from a dude who didn't move at all from spawn.
Especially when you have to primarily stack A site and cat in mid.
Yeah.
You have like that one guy going to B who keeps getting there with 47 health because he keeps getting shot through the door. You know, like
And then
that
the team
sucks.
yells at him for dying on B site, and you're like, bros, I was pelted getting over here.
I
Like,
was
what?
at 19 HP before the round started,
Uh,
and I wasted my only smoke.
In Overwatch, Blizzard announced that Overwatch 2 news will be updated. So we'll get an update on Overwatch 2 during the grand finals coming up here September 25th. Playoffs actually started today. Google it if you would like to know some of the results. In Valorant, some nerfs happening. Jet nerf, she has one less smoke. Her right click on the alt does not refresh off, or her alt doesn't refresh off of kills anymore, which should never have done in the first place. Sky has some nerfs. KO's got some buffs. He can get shit out faster. The big thing here was the Jet nerf people are freaking out about. I think Jet's biggest appeal is her mobility and skill with an op, how you can combine it with that mobility. So I think pros that can still... I don't think any pro is going to be
One
affected
less
by
smoke
this.
is kind of a big deal, but not nearly as big of a deal as if they had nerfed her dash in some
Yeah.
way. I think that's what needed to be nerfed versus like give her one
I
less
think this is
smoke.
the
Like,
start, right? They'll see how her pick rate changes. They'll see how her win rate changes, and then go from there. But I think if Jet's main appeal is her mobility, and the good players, like, you don't want to hurt the skill for that, right? So, because
they have to find a way to make a proper change
Right.
there. I honestly still think they will. I think this is, like you said, the first of maybe another nerf to come, but let's see what this does. I don't think this will affect the pro scene at all. The pick rate should still be...
Yeah, no, I don't think any
80+%.
pro is like, what are we gonna do without that extra smoke? They just spammed it anyways, so it's fine. In Call of Duty, Nadeshot reveals it cost them $27 million to enter CDL. Holy shit.
And that's like on it, like think of it as a payment plan. Okay,
Of
so
course,
that's not like
yeah.
27 million up front, like it's X number each year, but that's a lot.
Yeah,
That is a lot to get into CDL, but I am happy that they entered, so we'll not
of course.
talk shit about that at all. I'm very happy to have 100 Thieves in CDL.
Already several cheats have been detected in Vanguard, and it just almost was my yikes of the week, actually. But we are just in open beta, and we are already seeing like big streamers being in rooms with cheats. Like,
They literally were able to end games whenever they wanted to.
not
Like
good.
there was a cheat out there where you could end the match and it would go to the end game screen and stats would come up at that point. Like, you know, I've been seeing a lot of negative feed. I don't listen to what the pros say about the game at this point because they're paid to talk well about the game for the most part.
Right.
Some of them are a little bit more honest than others.
Either that or
but
they're just so jaded of Call of Duty.
the content creators, man, they're kind of letting it have it a little bit on. I mean, at least from what I've seen on YouTube, and
I
I've
mean,
been
look,
watching
you
a
played an
handful of them.
entire lifespan of Warzone over 2 games with hackers involved, and now in beta of the new game, you have hackers. I don't, like, if these content creators, like, I gotta play another year of this, like, are you joking me? So,
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Seattle Surge announced their lineup with some big hitters. Accuracy, and surprisingly, I actually talked to a listener about this. I didn't think it was going to happen, but they signed Mac from New York. I thought he was a shoo-in to return for New York, but nope, moving to Seattle.
Yeah, New York's been making some interesting changes like this.
Right.
You know,
The
I
rumors.
think accuracy was a good pickup, and you know he played pretty well last year until he got benched. And yeah, I mean, like they have to rebuild that foundation over there. Seattle also doesn't have the great management reputation at the moment, so we'll see what the team look. You know, they already have the full squad. We'll see what they look like once we see what all the other teams are, though. You know.
Yeah. In FPS news, Battlefield 2042 has been delayed a couple weeks, November 19th. Not the worst. I was actually going to
Does
be...
put them right in the middle of Call of Duty and Halo. That's the biggest negative for me,
downside.
is where they fall in the timeline of releases. But I would have loved to, you know, coming out right after COD might not be the worst thing though, because people might get frustrated early, and this will be the outlet for them.
Very true. Speaking of Halo, multiplayer test run this weekend and the following. So the next 2 weekends, we will have multiplayer. I've seen where they pretty much said it's like anyone's going to, like they're opening it up as far as I've seen. If you were in the last one, I think you're already in this one. You just got to wait for your invite to show up. So there's that. League of Legends, or I'm sorry, Dota, the International 2021 in Bucharest, Romania. Tickets are going on sale tomorrow. It's been announced, Anuj. A little last minute though. I mean, the finals are October 16th and 17th. So group stage and all that is prior.
Like they were not expecting any international travelers to
No,
come. Is
like-
what that tells me.
Yeah, like hopefully you're in the area because no one. I mean, it'd be a pretty costly plane ticket to get that in the next couple of weeks. In Battle Royale, Fortnite has teamed up with Balenciaga. Did I say that right?
Balenciaga, that's right.
I don't make enough money to know how to say that word. So Balenciaga and Fortnite team up to release in-game merch as well as real-life merch. Anuj, this shit's out of hand. Hoodies are $725, a hat just under $400, a denim jacket for $13,000. And if that's too much for you, don't worry, because you can buy a $500 t-shirt.
Like that's like, I mean, those are Balenciaga prices. This is actually a very cool, like cross partnership for the in-game stuff. For the real life stuff, like I guess there'll be some buyers out there, but
I mean, how expensive are the in-game stuff?
oh, I didn't think they're gonna price that probably regular, right? They've done
Okay.
that with everybody else.
I
would
would
assume,
assume.
like you're not gonna have like a $700 skin in game. That would be weird because you can't resell stuff in these games.
So Cristobal Balenciaga, the founder of Balenciaga, died in 1972. Do you think he would approve teaming up with a video game? A kid's video game?
Shit, Balenciaga is like a really hot in brand for the young generation. So it works. I see the
connection.
match. Yeah, like it's there, just like with Gucci, you know. I mean, it's the same thing. Like
Yeah. It's
Louis
just so
Vuitton,
weird,
all
like
these
how when
guys,
we
like-
were young, it was like Abercrombie, Hollister,
it's like American Eagle
right?
partners with G2.
Tommy Hilfiger. It's like much more reasonable, and even then, at the time, felt like it was
G2
so
does
much
have the
money.
best one, Ralph Lauren. It's classy.
Yeah,
I like it.
Can't go wrong with Ralph Lauren.
Can't
That
go
is
wrong with
good.
Ralph Lauren.
That is good.
But that's the boomer in us talking. You see,
Oh, a nice polo. Thank you.
nice solid colored polo with a little horse
G-
on it.
G2, do you have any khakis that go with this? Thank you. In other news, Riot is finally releasing an all-in-one gaming client. Long time overdue. I think it's supposed to come sometime this week. I don't know.
We
when.
heard it's coming soon, so
thank God.
You know, finally, that is pretty nice. I don't need 6 Riot games on my desktop.
I'm gonna
icons all over the
I'm gonna
place.
guess how to say this name though. But speaking of Riot, Allen's Q wins the Legend of Runeterra World Championship 2021. Other breaking news: people play Legends of Runeterra. I think the launcher will probably help that player base more than anything. It's weird that Riot, like, they have League of Legends, #1 popularity. Valorant, #1 popularity. Legends of Runeterra, no one fucking talks about it.
This is a nice way to integrate all of that.
Yeah,
though.
like you
and
see it
promote
there.
their fighting game as information comes out
Yeah.
there. They're about to release their MMO, you know, whatever that Disney kids looking game that they're releasing is for the MMO community is coming
Oh,
out
are they?
here not too long.
I know that.
It looks like Animal Crossing. It's basically
Oh,
Animal
okay.
Crossing in an MMO form.
Okay. In other news here, Tim the Tatman signs with an org, Complexity. Makes sense. He's a big Cowboys fan. They're owned by the Cowboys.
Part
Yeah,
ownership.
part
within the
owner
group.
and content creator. So
That's huge.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Tim the Tatman said he was going to join an org, I could care less. Like couldn't care less. I don't, But then when I saw it was Complexity, I was like, oh, you've gained my interest a little bit.
Very smart partnership because he's also a diehard Cowboys fan, and like it all kind of fits. I like that signing quite a bit for them.
And I think that's why it made sense to me. It wasn't just like, oh, he signs with a big org for the sake
Like,
of
goes
it.
to
It's like,
base
no,
for
this
the sake of
probably,
being-
this was honestly, because too, I'm like, why would Tim the Tatman sign with an org? Like, he doesn't need to.
This is the only org that made sense.
Exactly. This is the only one that convinced him to partner with a brand. Like, the only org that makes sense. Also, this is probably the most important thing out of this really super long episode. We're gonna have to work on getting these 1 episodes a week down here. But New World comes out next Tuesday. Now, we've said this multiple times, people. This game is like the Da Vinci Code of getting what server and faction and everything you need to play with people. If you screw up at any point of the chain, you cannot play with people that you want to play with.
For at least 90 days.
At least 90 days. So, if you're playing New World and you want to play with us, get with us in Discord because a new
server list I think just came out, so we'll tweet it out also probably of this is the server we're playing on. Faction that you'll probably have to get into Discord for.
Right. So a new
side note on Discord, Tim.
You're the captain on this one.
And that's fair because I have officially canceled my Mumble membership.
Wow.
I am no longer on Mumble. I'm officially a Discord user. For all you people that have sent me some DMs that I've not seen a response from me in weeks, you will see some responses coming your way. I will be more active and engaged. So it's official.
Other breaking news: Mumble lost its only customer.
They really did. I wish they would have given me a discount after all these years. I probably would have stayed, but it was the same price, and I was like, it's time.
It's for four of us,
boys.
the 4 people that get in there.
Yeah. It used to be a way to separate. And it's like, I don't have any friends anymore, so I gotta separate. Like, these are the only people I talk to.
Yeah, boy, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? All right, so there you have it. There it is, everything there. So if you're playing New World next Tuesday, again, we'll do a show Sunday because Cowboys are playing Monday. So our show will be Sunday, talking Worlds, League of Legends. We'll have Kevin Correa on the show, friend of the show, been on Talk Worlds. So he'll be on Sunday and everything else.
And we'll do some streaming next week for New World. So we'll
stream New World. But again, if you're getting New World, get with us so we can get what server we're all going to be on and make sure that it's there. Because it's weird. It's not like, just make another character. No, it's like you're limited the amount of characters per server group. Like, it's very restrictive for whatever reason. So it's important you get in one with who you want to play with. Because if not, you're kind of SOL from what I've gathered. So hit us up in Discord though if you are interested, and or Twitter at the Center Ring, and the Discord is also in the description there, so you can always join that and everything else you need. That's it. We will be back Sunday night as the Cowboys are playing Monday Night Football this time around, talking stuff. Like I said, Kevin will be on to talk some Worlds, so we'll talk some League of Legends. If you have questions for Kevin, hit us up in Discord or Twitter and we will ask. And other than that, we'll figure it out. Esports never fails to give us some more information. So for Anuj, I'm Tim. Thank you to Philly Esports for sponsoring the show. We love you. See ya. Bye. All right. Everyone in chat, we love you. Wolf, thanks for sticking around. I saw your one comment. We were just on a roll and this episode already entirely way too long. But Wolf says he would love to hear our take on mobile esports. That's pretty much it. That 5 seconds of silence was our take on mobile esports.
That was everything we know about it. That's honestly everything we know. That's
all I got to say. Yeah. I play Pokemon Go on my phone. That's about it. That is about it. Anyways, everyone in chat, we love you. I'm going to kill the stream so we can get to editing. maybe check out, at least launch a Dust 2 whatever and see the new doors. But anyway, love your faces. We'll be on over the weekend. Hit us up. Bye.
Love you guys.